Okay, here we go with Chapter 2 of our Caro-Kann Repertoire course. This is the advanced variation when white does not play move 4, C3.
Yep, so we can go through the normal moves here. You may have seen this variation. We've covered this on our YouTube channel. So very first move that is kind of like a decision in the road for the Caro is we're recommending right away this 3c5 move. And this move packs a punch for sure. We're putting white to the decision right away, and we showed earlier that actually at the club level, 3c5 score, it's like 55% wins for black. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, so C5 scored the best, and black tends to have an advantage in quite a few of the lines. So in this chapter, we are not going to look at the main move, which is 4, C3. We're going to be looking at 4, D takes C5, 4, Knight F3, 4, C4, and 4, F4. So four different moves. This is going to be a 10 chapter or a 10 variation chapter again. Each chapter is approximately 10% of what you'll see in the games within the chapter.
Yep. And I have personally seen every single one of these moves in my game, and I've only been playing the Caro now for probably 2 or 3 months, something like that. So ready to actually know what to do against each of these variations. So um, first, should we look at D takes?
Yeah, let's go through the main line.
Okay.
So here we're recommending E6. This puts an immediate attack on the C5 pawn, and it's actually best to let us capture this pawn. So if you see your opponent play A3 after the capture, that's the most popular move at the Grandmaster level. But we're first going to start with the most popular move at the club level, which is Bishop to E3.
Yep. So I like the move e6 because it allows us to immediately attack this pawn and just put the pressure on white again. So I think it's very natural for white to defend the pawn, bringing the bishop, defending the pawn. Very normal looking move and makes a ton of sense. So from here, we just continue putting the pressure on, play knight d7, and now we're attacking these two pawns. And again, it's up to white to say which pawn do you want to hold and how do you plan on doing that.
And one nice thing with this line is there's a lot of ways for your opponent to go wrong. So they have to figure out how to defend the pawn, and a lot of the options aren't that great for white. So in this position, we're going to look at two moves. We'll look at bishop to b5, and we'll also look at knight to f3. We'll start with the most popular move, bishop to b5. And after this move, we're recommending a rare response, queen to a5 check. And the reason I recommend this move is because there's a forced sequence and it puts a lot of pressure on white right away on the sixth move.
Yeah, so bishop out here defends both of these pawns tactically because this knight is pinned to the king. So what we're going to do is basically get out of this pressure, and we're going to play basically very forcefully. So in this position, the only move that makes any sense right here is knight c3, because keep in mind we're attacking the bishop. So getting the knight out and defending the bishop. So they play knight out, and we're gonna again just ask them the question right away what they're gonna do with this bishop. And so we're gonna play a6 and have them make a decision. And really, the only move that makes sense here again is to take the knight, and we take back here with the king, right? Oh no, sorry, we take back with the
With the
bishop.
bishop. That's in the other repertoire, the aggressive king repertoire.
Yeah, this is the delayed bomb cloud.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it. So now the strongest move for white is a3. And the idea behind a3 is white wants to allow us to capture. This is a bit of a trick, a trap. If we take right away, there's pawn to b4, forking our bishop and queen. So instead of taking right away, we need to retreat the queen first. Queen back to c7. And now again, we're putting the pressure on the white pawns in the center. Bishop takes c5 as one threat, queen takes e5 as another threat, and white has to figure out how do we defend both of these threats that black has.
Yep, and Another very natural looking move here is b4. And in white, I feel if you're playing the white pieces here, I feel like you'd be very happy until you see the next move on the board, which is b6, because it completely undermines this beautiful chain. And if you decide you want to go ahead and capture this pawn, whoops, you hang a knight. So a beautiful move to really undermine everything. And really, I think if you see this move on the board, you're already like a little bit defeated. Like I had this beautiful pawn chain, I was up the extra pawn, and now we're going to get to material equality, and this pawn chain is not going to be looking as hot anymore. So b6 here really equalizes, and actually black is just quite a bit better.
Yeah, the position's really starting to fall apart for white already with these dark square weaknesses. E5, knight on c3, the two pawns you highlighted, b4, a3. So here the most popular move, and it's the only good move according to the engine, is to play c6 and just toss this pawn to us. If white doesn't play c6, we're going to take on c5, and that variation is even stronger for us. So c6, queen takes c6. We already have a nice little advantage, and our plan now is going to be to play knight e7 to g6, and this follows the other chapters in the repertoire where we see we want to go after the weakest white pawn on the board, which in this case it's the pawn on e5. So there's no pawn on d4. That means we want the knight on g6 to hit e5. And then our plan is going to be develop the f8 bishop to e7, castle, and play f6. And the nice thing with f6, and we see this in other chapters too, is if the f pawn trades for the e pawn, so these two pawns trading, it actually gives us two center pawns, and we can start pushing that advantage up the board in combination with our bishop pair.
Yep, and it seems kind of like white just wandered into this position. They played all very natural looking moves, and black is just has everything to play for here. No weaknesses at all in black's camp. All these pawns are very safe, very secure, and we have the bishop pair. And white just has all sorts of loose pieces. This knight is undefended right now. This pawn is undefended, and lots of initiative here for white
Initiative for black, yeah.
or for black,
Yeah,
not white.
that's right.
For black.